Happy? Hello, and welcome to our first Pathways podcast. We have Rachel Gradwell with us, and she's going to tell us a little bit about what she does.
Right, thank you for having me here. I'm Rachel. I'm an employability advisor. I've been at Sheffield Hallam for 7 years now, and I work in the Sheffield Creative Industries Institute, predominantly with art and design students.
Oh, okay. Can you tell us a little bit more about that? What sort of responsibilities that falls under?
So, my role is to support students and graduates with everything to do with their employability. So, I help them with all the practical stuff, so things like CVs, cover letters, using social media, interview support. But then we also help them with kind of exploring career ideas. In the creative industries, there are certain things that you need to be able to do and be aware of, so we help them with that. And we offer one to one appointments and we go into modules and help them on certain projects.
Hmm. You mentioned social media. How is that related in? Obviously, that's less traditional than what you'd expect from an employability advisor. So, how would you use social media within the creative industry?
So, really important that students and graduates know how to use LinkedIn, which is a professional social media platform. So, we spend a lot of time helping them set up their profiles, how to connect in industry. Instagram and TikTok are really important social media platforms. So, we don't give them a huge amount of advice on that, but we have resources to help them with it. But it's just making sure that students know about their kind of professional and personal identity and how to kind of promote themselves online.
Yeah, just so they're not missing something that they might need to consider.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, why would you say those platforms specifically are so important?
So TikTok and Instagram,
Yes, yeah.
just in terms of the kind of the reach across the creative industries. So Instagram, is particularly aimed at those people that want to work in the creative industry. So, fine art, fashion, graphic design, media, TV. So it's a really useful platform for students to be able to engage with and use it professionally or personally. TikTok, I mean, I think everybody is aware of TikTok,
Yeah.
how widespread it is, how many people use it. So to have a platform on there as a professional, whether you're a student or a graduate, is really important.
Okay.
Yeah.
What made you decide to do this role? What drew you to it in the first place?
So, as I said, I've been here 7 years. For 20 years of my career, I worked with vulnerable teenagers,
Mm.
so young people who were affected by things like substance misuse, teenage parenthood, pregnancy, homelessness. And I did a careers qualification during that time. And then I went on to specialise in working with young people who are at risk of or were experiencing child sexual exploitation. Then I became an education and training officer in that area.
Hmm.
And there is a shelf life with that type of role
Yeah.
because it can be very intense. And I saw an opportunity here at Sheffield Hallam working with students and graduates, and I thought I can put my careers qualification to best use. And I've been here ever since. But when you're in careers, you get moved about to different
Mm.
departments. So I actually started here in media, I've forgotten what it's called now, media arts and communication, because it's all changed.
Yeah.
So I did that for a couple of years. Then I was in sport, social work, nursing, and then over the last 2 years I've been in art and design, which
Mm.
is my favourite. It's great.
Yeah, that's good. You seem to always have this draw to help people in what you've just said, and I think that's quite admirable. Um,
Thanks.
yeah, no, it's nice. I like that.
Yeah.
Um, what do you think are sort of shortfalls or places that people tend to not even consider when looking at employability, whether in the arts or outside of it?
Do you mean what students aren't aware of?
Almost, yeah, or maybe things they are aware of, but they've maybe overstepped. So, for example, like people looking from seeing it as a more professional, traditional sense might think TikTok's silly, for example. But what do you think are areas that people don't consider enough or that maybe they overlook?
I think when students start at university, obviously you're dealing with a whole host of new things, living independently, away from family. You've got to cook and clean, you've got to
Mm.
go out and party and then get up and go to lectures. So there's a whole load of stuff that you have to cope with. So I think in first year, students aren't really aware of everything that they could be doing that will help them with employability, because employability is something that maybe they think of final year when they graduate. So in terms of being aware of how to build their employability, which is something that we really try and promote with our students, it's that, just take advantage of everything that you've got here at Hallam. So join clubs and societies, be a course rep, work as a student ambassador, have a part-time job, do loads of fun things which will develop your confidence, you'll meet friends and new people, broaden your horizons, but then that also helps develop your employability skills, because you will be able to talk articulately and write about yourself in terms of how you've collaborated, your communication, your teamwork skills, and social media is really important. So setting yourself up with a good TikTok account, a good Instagram account, and especially LinkedIn means that all of that stuff that you've done, you can demonstrate on those platforms.
Almost using them like a showcase, do you mean?
Definitely, especially LinkedIn. LinkedIn's really important.
Yeah, so from what I've picked up here then, having the skill set is one thing, obviously very important to have. That will come with time and practice, but it's actually just as important to have that platform almost of your social medias, of your LinkedIn, your Instagram. And it's just a lot of the things that people might not necessarily think is as important when learning a skill and looking, to build a career. But obviously, from what you're saying, it seems very important to have the almost foundations of your social medias and things like that. No, it's really interesting actually.
It's almost more about the communication, isn't it? In terms of like, you might have this long list of things that you've done that is like really brilliant, and you've done this and this, and you were a captain here, and you did all this there. But if you can't actually show it or say it, it's almost a mute point for your employability, then, isn't it? Because if you can't communicate it or show it.
Yeah, definitely. And I think as a creative, you need to be able to sort of talk about yourself as an artist, as a professional, whatever kind of sector you're in within the creative industries. You need to have a passion for it. You need to stand for something, and your personal and professional identity is really important. And having that kind of consistency across your social media platforms, being able to talk about yourself. Eventually, you're going to have your portfolio of the body of work that you've got. So having that confidence to understand who you are, have developed those employability skills, is just going to really help you when you go on to graduate and work in the creative industries.
Well, it's interesting that you said where you stand. Do you think that's almost worth sort of making your professional values maybe quite well known? So an example is, I know a photographer who focuses on macro photography, and he's really accomplished, but he does insect photography, and his point is that he'll never fake it, because obviously with the environmental impact of all that kind of work, that's almost as core to his values as taking the photo. Do you think that's somewhere that's worth considering when setting up these platforms?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, obviously, when you start university, you're learning lots of new things. So in first year, it's unlikely that you're going to completely, be self-aware and know yourself and have that identity. I think over the years, as you start to develop that and you're enjoying what you're doing, standing for something in terms of your values and your ethos as an artist, I think is really important. Whether it's a political belief, a social belief, like you mentioned, the environment, if that's something that you're really passionate about and you can weave that into your professional identity and the work that you're carving out, then I think all power to you. I think as artists and creatives, pretty much everybody does have something that they stand for, that they strongly believe in, and that is what shapes their art and their creativity. So that's just really important. But that's not going to happen overnight.
Yeah. There's almost something you'll get as you work through everything.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, so when it comes to individuals setting up these platforms, would you say there's very much a strict way of doing it, or are you able to be quite creative with the actual platforms themselves and how you might present them? Is that something you'd encourage people to do, to have their own twist on it?
Yeah, so I mean, I'll talk mainly about LinkedIn. So with Instagram and TikTok, we do have a sort of video resource that students can watch and learn how to use it professionally.
Yeah.
We specialise in Handshake and LinkedIn. So Handshake is the university's platform that we use to showcase all our part-time jobs, on-campus jobs, student ambassador roles, placements, events, workshops. But LinkedIn is the one that we really sort of focus on for students and graduates. So if you are going to have a LinkedIn account, you want to make sure it's 100% completed and full, so that when employers look at it, they can see everything that you've done. So often creative students will think, well, it's not that creative, so there's no point in me really having one. But it's a much better platform now. You can upload projects. So all the projects that you do first, second, third year, you can write about them. You can upload visuals and pictures, images and reels. So when, again, employers and other people in industry are looking at your profile, it's almost like a mini sort of portfolio.
Yeah.
It's really important that you have kind of an impact on there in terms of, you know, your creative students and graduates. So make it visually appealing, a nice banner strap that demonstrates maybe a piece of your work, maybe some of your art, depends. A nice picture of your face, because people like to connect with people. 100% complete, and then make sure you're active on it.
Yeah.
So
What
it's
would
not
active be in terms
so
of...
active. It's not like TikTok and Instagram where you're kind of scrolling through. You know, you want to sit down at your laptop on LinkedIn. You want to connect with people. You want to send a personalized message when you connect with other professionals. You want to post. So, for example, what you guys are doing today, you don't have to post me though. You can post on there saying something like, you know, as part of the Pathways project, you know, we did this today, and you can upload pictures. You want to make sure that all the companies and the people of interest that you're following, when they are posting, you're being active. So it's not just passive, you know, you're liking, you're commenting, you're sharing. And the more you do that, the more your profile rises on that platform and people will get in touch with you. But for me, the key thing about LinkedIn, especially for creatives, is it's like an online CV storage bank. So everything that you've done and everything that you go on to do, put it all on LinkedIn, because it can be as long as you like.
Yeah.
For you guys, when you're applying for placements, internships, graduate roles, 1-page CV that's creative, you can't fit everything in on there. You want to tailor it. But when an employer gets your CV, they're pretty much going to look at LinkedIn and they'll see everything else that you've done, which is great. So it makes it easier, I think, for students.
We've just changed my attitude to LinkedIn, because I very much had that more...
It was boring, professional.
Well, not because I can see the usefulness of it, but obviously this comes up a lot when you talk about LinkedIn with like lecturers and stuff. In terms of LinkedIn's not so much anymore, what was always very ugly, and also it almost felt like posting to Facebook.
Yeah.
But only the other day did we revisit it with one of our lecturers, and that project section is actually really like effective, really clear. It's almost like a gallery view, isn't it?
Yeah.
You can see it all. And I think that makes it much more, like you said, much more of a useful tool for creators.
Definitely.
Question from an outside, just as we're talking about LinkedIn. Would you say that the profile picture that you put on your LinkedIn profile should be professional, or would you say it should be happy and engaging? What do you think would be?
Good question. So it's nice to see people's faces when you're trying to connect with them on LinkedIn. LinkedIn is a professional social media platform, but that doesn't mean you have to be suited and booted and looking smart in a tie and a suit. It's you, I think personally, it's just you looking at the camera smiling.
Yeah.
It's not you on holiday, it's not you after a late night on West Street. You know, it is a professional social media platform, but you know, yeah, smile. You're creative, so the important thing is that banner strap behind your head. If it's the grey blue, which is the kind of, sorry LinkedIn, the dull background, that's not very exciting. You're creatives, have something that shows off you and your personality and your identity.
Yeah, I really like that actually. Same as Cal, it's completely changed my perspective as well. I like how you're almost enforcing the idea of you're making a profile, but more importantly, you're making your profile. I think
Yeah, you've got to stand out.
definitely, yeah. I mean, we're all guilty of it. Sometimes you get so fixated on it's got to be done this way, and it's got to be done very specifically, and you almost lose that personality to it. And people will go through it, like you said, and think this is almost getting boring. Whereas if you can stand out that little bit in your profile, obviously, from what you said, it's a very good way to do that.
Well, the interesting thing on that is that it's a professional but social media platform. Well, like exactly like you just said, Ben, is that like as you're going through it, particularly because like my first interaction with LinkedIn was during an employability module as part of the Welsh Baccalaureate, and that was very like this is how you make a CV in a really clear way, in one of the most, as a creative, one of the most painful looking ways ever, which is just a wall of text on a Word document. And like in recent times, I've had a lot more fun almost making that like more pen portrait style CVs and being a bit more clever with it. So like I sent a CV to a games company recently and I put my online username as a handle that they could get a hold of. And it was just a tiny touch, really subtle, but and I think the fact that it's a social media platform means you can be more personal. But it's not even said to say to students or to young professionals. It's almost not advertised in that way.
It's not.
It feels like, you know, like my parents are on LinkedIn posting about, I don't know, batteries or something really random. So it almost seems very clinical and very like.
No, you can make it so much more engaging and creative, LinkedIn now. And I mean, there are approximately 67 million companies listed on there. So chances are the studio, the agency, the company that maybe you'd like to work for will have a LinkedIn profile on there. And at the click of a button, in terms of sending a nice, short, friendly connection message, you can connect with people across all industries. And again, that's the good thing about LinkedIn. So just because you've got a creative degree or you're studying towards one, that doesn't mean it's a linear path where I'm studying digital media, I can only ever work in digital media. You can, with your degree, with the attributes and the qualities that you've gained from it, you can work across all sectors. And if you were thinking, oh, maybe actually I quite like to do something else, you can use the alumni tool and look at previous Sheffield Hallam students and see what they're doing now. You can look at different companies and sectors and you can connect with people. And the great thing about it is that you can ask questions. So, you know, you can ask a question of a particular person that works at a company and hopefully they'll respond and give you some feedback and some answers. And, you know, it's global. So the fact that you can go anywhere in the world and connect with people, I just think that was never around when I was younger. It's really exciting for students and graduates.
Just to let everyone know, we're 18 minutes into recording and we're nearly half an hour and then they say you've got to go off.
I've got to leave at 10.
Okay. Yeah. So obviously,
I think
keep running.
we're not far off anyway.
Yeah, no.
Go through these questions.
I think we covered LinkedIn, haven't we?
I think so, yeah.
Cool, definitely from LinkedIn.
Should we go through these?
But yeah, no.
I have been slowly.
Right. I was made LinkedIn like a couple of months ago.
Yeah, we did. So we did that
Before
one.
we were doing LinkedIn. And obviously Richard brought out. So I think
Different one. And we did that one. So it's
the presentation about the profile pictures, I think. In my profile picture, I'm wearing a suit because I went to the races for like a Hallam, whatever it was.
Yeah.
So obviously I was like, oh, do I think
If you like it, it's fine.
Me out more.
But it's what makes you like feel good. Yeah. But just remember, it's professional. That's yeah.
100%. Cool.
See, interestingly, on the professional note, I know quite a few people within, because my LinkedIn's set up partly for the media, but it's mainly set up for my rock climbing coaching that I do. And a lot of like those kind of LinkedIn profiles tend to be really informal. So like I've got, for example, a really clean photo of myself, but almost it's not at all professional. But I'm almost just at the gym, but in like a weird way, and I think it's worked really well as being that more abstract and almost eye-catching, but not like, you know, you don't look like you're on a night out. Do you think that's worth considering rather than just like a plain?
I think it depends on what you want to use your profile for.
It's the aim almost.
Exactly. So if you're using it more in a kind of freelance business way because you're trying to get clients, then you might have a different type of kind of picture. If it's just your profile and you're a student, you're looking for placements and internships, then you might have a different image. So I think it just depends on what you want it for.
Yeah, almost like the purpose of it.
Yeah,
I think yes. From what I've picked up here, it's definitely important to have some sort of structure to it, but not, like I said before, not be too fixated on it. I know personally, any sort of success I've had when making profiles has just been when there's no pressure and I can sort of just do my own thing. And it's something that I've really enjoyed as well. And it's almost I don't know about you, if I find when I'm trying too hard to get everything right and I'm thinking about things three, four, five times over, I end up changing the profile pictures, changing the bios, changing these little bits, and almost I'm never satisfied. Whereas if you can just go into and everything you said here has actually put my mind at ease completely, because especially recently, I've tried too hard, I think, to make everything right and almost lost my roots and personality a little bit. So yeah, I find it really interesting.
I think you almost be, and I guess that's sort of the nature of the beast of being in a creative and also just highly competitive just environment, is that you focus, like, you know, a lot of people who maybe procrastinate around a project
Yeah,
because they're like, oh, I've got to get the perfect title for this, I've got to get the perfect this, or my LinkedIn's got to have just the right amount of
yeah.
skills written so that the algorithm will like it. You know, my Instagram's got to have this amount of hashtags. Well, actually, by the time you finish faffing around with it, you could have made 3 posts,
That's it, yeah.
and those 3 posts might have landed you your next opportunity.
Yeah.
And it's almost like not faffing on the small points, but that's really hard.
It is, isn't it? I feel like personally as well. Once you start worrying about that, by the time you've got over one part of it and conquered the next, it's enough time for you to then get annoyed about the first one again, and it's just like a never-ending cycle. But
Yeah, and I think you've also got to be mindful of not being on it 24/7. So, you know, a few times a week, sit down on your laptop and do stuff on it. But don't let it rule your life. As we all know, social media, you know, there's so much, isn't there? And you do
absolutely, yeah.
need to have a break. And LinkedIn is, you know, it's professional, so you don't have to be on it 24/7.
What do you think, out, because we've covered a lot on more the platforms, more the digital side of it. What do you think is a good way that people can maybe boost their employability separately from like tech?
Yeah.
I know, obviously,
Yeah,
being in media, we're very like spend our life in front of a computer. But what do you think helps people's employability outside of that?
yeah. Definitely doing things. We used to call it back in the day hashtag do stuff.
Mm.
So, you know, join a club or a
Mm.
society. You know, that's going to really help you develop your skills, your employability skills. Plus, hopefully, you're going to be having a good time and you're
Yeah.
going to be learning new things and enjoying it. You know, the course rep role that the students' union support, which any student can do across all levels, is really great in terms of collaborating with other students, collaborating with academic staff, going to meetings, feeding back. So all of those skills that you're developing there are going to be really beneficial for you, and it does look really great on your CV. You know, part-time job. I mean, the majority of students, cost of living, you know, will work part-time, and it doesn't matter if your part-time job is. I was about to name an American fast food joint, but I'm not going to. It doesn't matter if it's, you know, just a bar job, catering, whatever it is. Those are transferable skills, and employers see that, and it means that you're more confident and you can talk about your skills. So part-time job, A, to get money, but B, to develop those skills
I guess
and confidence.
things like your conflict resolution skills and stuff like that. You'll only really, because I've got a part-time bar job as well, and like through that is the only reason I have any sort of conflict resolution skills, and more just the skill to deal with people who
People,
maybe disagree with you.
yeah, working
Uh,
under pressure,
yeah,
dealing with conflict, all of those
and I
things,
wouldn't, and it's
and
not something I would have got
a degree
from a
module,
degree. Yeah,
possibly. I mean, it depends on the degree you're studying, doesn't it?
very hard
But
degree.
yeah, it's unlikely. Plus, you know, you're in the real world with
Mm.
people, and you've got to be able to deal with that stuff. So yeah, part-time job definitely. Work experience, so volunteering, really important, and I don't think enough students kind of know about it or they do it. So again, on the Students' Union website, there's a range of different volunteering opportunities, and that's great for students who maybe are feeling a bit anxious or nervous. They've never had a part-time job. Maybe they don't feel very confident socially. So volunteering means that A, you're getting that kind of support at elbow. You're working with those different, normally third sector charitable organisations. So if you're a student who maybe wants to work with children and young people in the future, being able to volunteer for an after-school club or a befriending service is brilliant. If you're a student that's interested in the creative industry, so there's loads of arts and crafts, social media, digital media, loads of different volunteering opportunities there. Or if you're like me and you're interested in animal welfare, you can volunteer at local pig sanctuary. Got nothing to do with being a careers advisor, just really like pigs. So volunteering is a brilliant way to develop your skills and your confidence, and makes you feel warm and fuzzy inside because you're giving something
Because you're
back.
helping, yeah.
Exactly.
Oh, nice.
So I'm all over volunteering for students. So work experience. So sandwich placements, obviously, at the end of your second year, if you want to do one, fantastic thing. Work in industry. We in the careers team offer loads of support to help you to secure one. So CVs, speculative searching, application forms, using LinkedIn to connect. So yeah, work experience, placements, internships, volunteering, part-time jobs. I've totally forgotten the question.
No,
All
you've
that
hit it.
stuff is really
Yeah.
important.
Just making you more well-rounded and more
Yeah, hashtag
overall.
do stuff.
Do stuff.
I
You
like
know,
that,
and the thing is, at the moment it's 9250 a year that you're spending, and I think your degree that you're getting is absolutely brilliant. The quality of the teaching and learning here at Hallam, I think, is outstanding. But it's all the other stuff that you need as well. So yes, you could just study, get your first, and off you go. But to be more well-rounded, to be able to really talk about yourself, and to be more employable, you need to be able to demonstrate how you've got those skills.
Almost just proving you're more than a qualification.
Totally. Yeah.
Like it comes up quite a lot in not so much in the media side necessarily, but say, like I said, I do a lot of the outdoor education side of it. Within outdoor education, you get it a lot where you can tell people have clearly only done what they've needed to do to get the qualification, the degree, the piece of paper, but they've not actually done the sort of the extra bits around it that then gives them the understanding to be actually effective.
Totally.
Like you can pass a qualification, and you can put the effort in, and good on you. They're not easy, but that doesn't necessarily mean you can then utilize it, which then obviously knocks your employability down.
Yeah.
So I guess it just proves that you did work, and also
it's all the other stuff
more
that you
interesting.
do that I think is gonna help you, especially when you go into working full time when you graduate. But also, that amount of money, use what we have here and that we offer: student support, careers and employability, the library services, students' union. There's so much stuff that you can get for your money that isn't just the academic degree.
Have you seen clear evidence, obviously, that people that do go that extra mile and put themselves out there and do a bit of volunteering and have maybe had jobs or offered their services, with the things they're learning on this degree? Have you seen those people generally are more employable and have had more success when it comes to moving forward with their career?
Yeah. I mean, I would say I'm just trying to be mindful of the fact that there will be some students who don't want to do any of that stuff. And if they're thinking, well, if I don't, does that mean I'm never going to get a job? That isn't the case. For us, it's more about just promoting, trying to do all of those things, because even if you do one of those things like volunteer, it will help you. I think, on the whole, when I see final